What's up, Brendan Vanzen here, and this episode we're going to be getting the shot here in Yangshuo, China. So on this show on Getting the Shot on Brendan Vanzen Photography, what we're going to be doing is basically taking you through the process of getting a certain shot, and we're in the sweet, very cool town of Yangshuo, China, and what we're going to do right now is we're going to go out and look for some photos. So the starting point of any photo search is obviously the research, and we're in town. I've got a map here, which is obviously a great tool. One of the things I really do look for when I'm shooting is water. So there's lots of water here in Yangshuo. So I think that's going to be our focus of our trip. We're going to rent some bicycles, we're going to cruise around, we're going to look for some spots and do some scouting first of all. So we got a little bit lazy and decided to rent a scooter. And yeah, we're just exploring. We're trying to scout out some locations. And there's this gate. This gate looks nice to the eye. And this is one of those places that you could snapshot. You just take a daytime photo here. But when it comes down to it, when you want a really, really good photo, the scene is messy. There's some cool mountains in the background and the gate's nice, but you really, really, really want a cleaner shot than this. So we're gonna keep exploring to find something else to shoot. So we found another spot. It's cleaner. There's some open areas that I might be able to do some shooting. Still a little bit too messy for what I'm trying to do this time at sunset, but it's the best we've seen so far, so we could come back here. This is what goes into getting a shot. You've got to go exploring in the middle of the day at some point to try to find the best spots and then go back to them at the end of the day. Right now there's some tourists going along in front of the limestone karst landscapes, and even though the sky is going to be overblown, it might make kind of cool photos. So I'll take some daytime photos here as well. So we tried out another spot here. We found a bridge, and on our map there's actually two bridges. This is the first we're trying, and it is beautiful. There's some cool views, but there's all these bamboo rafts with umbrellas on it. I think it'd ruin the shot. So we're gonna go try Shangri-La, see what's there, and then we're probably gonna head over to the second bridge and hope for luck, because really, I haven't found anything I'm desperate to shoot yet. So we've basically been out driving around all day looking for a spot. Sometimes you have to sacrifice. You really have to spend a lot of time looking. We didn't find anything that I really loved, and now I've come to this bridge, and there's some beautiful limestone karst mountains behind it, but the problem is that the light is absolutely terrible. It's really, really hazy, and it might even be raining over there. So it's like 6:30 now, sunset's at 7:20, which means when we shoot at the golden hour is like 30 minutes before the sun goes down until about 30 minutes after, so you got about an hour to shoot. We've got about a half an hour to hang out here, look at some different lines, and then I'll try to find a place to shoot, and God willing, inshallah, the light will get better, and I'll show you how I'm gonna shoot this scene and not get run over by a scooter that's coming by. So after exploring some of the lines and some of the scenes here, there's a couple scenes I really like. This was the one I initially liked. This is beautiful. You've got some nice leading lines down here. You've got these amazing limestone karst mountains in the background as well. But the light's very hazy. It's just a lot of like smoggy light. And I'm not sure I like how it'll turn out this soon in the evening. So I'm gonna leave that till the end. Instead, I'm gonna show you a different shot. I'm gonna try to go out and use this waterfall that's running under the road and put that in the foreground of my scene with this bridge in the background. And I'm shooting wide, so I'm going about 11, 12 millimeters here. And I'm gonna shoot f-stop f11, about 11. Generally with landscapes, remember, you wanna get as much in focus as you can. So stuff like f9, f11, even up to f16. You're gonna be sharpest around f9 though. So I'm gonna go at f11 to shoot this. And because I really want to bring out the light in the sky, I'm going to shoot a neutral density filter as I almost fall off this bridge. And this neutral density filter is gradient. So you can see that it goes from dark to light. It's 3 stops. So at the top, it's going to be darker than the bottom by 3 stops, which is great because if I hold this up to the sky, then the sky will get darker. Basically, that's the way you'll get everything in focus rather than having a blown out sky and a perfectly exposed ground, or vice versa. You could get an underexposed ground and a properly exposed sky. So this cuts out that problem. If you shoot landscape photography, you need neutral density filters. A gradient neutral density filter like this is an absolute must. But yeah, let's develop this photo and then I'll take you back home and show you how I do the post-processing.
So what is up? We're back here in the post-processing lab, and I'm going to show you my post-processing of this image, which in front of you is done. That's the completed image. That's how I edited it. It took me about 2 minutes to edit, and I'll go through that with you really quickly. First, I want to show you my data. So the data is up here, as you can see. I shot the image at ISO 100. I shoot a 60D crop sensor. You shoot like 200 ISO and already you're getting lots of noise. This image has very little noise if we can crop in a little bit. And my computer's slow, I'm sorry about that. But sharp, very little noise, I'm happy about that. ISO 100 will get you that. Man, my computer is slow. I'm sorry. I apologize. Anyways, I also shot this image at f14, I believe. Now, usually I want to shoot things at like f11 with landscapes like this that don't have a lot of light going on. I usually go f11. It's 90% of the time I'm f11. My computer's going crazy. But here I did f14. The reason being was I really wanted to get a little bit more movement in the water than I was getting. I wanted to make it like dreamy looking. And the way I was getting it when I was shooting f11, f9 was something like 9 seconds or 6 seconds, and the water was moving too quick. It was looking too intense for my liking. So I cranked it up to f14. You have to be careful shooting landscapes. F14, F16 are cool. After F16, the sharpness dies. Even at F14, it's not perfect, but it does the trick here. I shot at 11 millimeters on the Sigma lens and for 13 seconds for the reasons I described earlier. Before all the editing, the image looked like this. As my slow computer regenerates, you can see it looks different. Now, I didn't do a lot of work to this image. I did very, very basic things. And I'll show you how quickly I can work through an image using Lightroom. This is Lightroom 5. So I'm going to crop it first. That's the very first thing I see. I see my horizon's a little bit off. I also want that bridge to stick out a bit more. So I'm going to put it at the 2/3 mark up here. I've also got, this is my anchor. This is what photographers call an anchor. In the foreground of your image, you need an anchor, something that grabs the initial viewer's eye. My anchor, I also want at 2/3 of the image. So I'm cropping so that's the case. You have these two elements at 2/3. Hit done there. The other thing is using that gradient neutral densifying filter is it really made the skies like white balance pink, pink, pink. So we're going to fix that using a gradient. Let me reset everything from a previous edit. Yeah, basically we're going to crank down the gradient, which is this one up here, obviously. I'm just going to adjust the white balance to make it a little bit more blue. And just, you see now how it fits the colors? It's much better. I'm also going to crank down the clarity just a bit to bring out those trees that are also there. Kill two birds with one stone. Now, the other thing I've really noticed is the image is a little bit overexposed in this area here, and it's kind of like washing out all the details. So the way I'm going to fix that is I'm going to paint the image. This is the adjustments brush. Hit the adjustments brush, and I'm going to drop the exposure down by like 0.6. Let's go like that. And I'm also going to crank the clarity a little bit because I want to bring out the details in the water. And then I'm just going to paint. And it's a quick thing, the painting. And yeah, so you're basically like that. If you're having trouble seeing the lines, you can also go down here, show the selected mask, and then everything will show up pink once my computer speeds up. Just give it about a half an hour. There we go. And yeah, then you can paint to your heart's content without worrying that you're missing anything. Okay, that's cool. Unclick that. Now there's still not enough detail here. I'm going to bring down the highlights a bit. And I'm also going to bring up a little bit of the contrast, not by much. right like that. And then I'm pretty happy with that. Now we can get into the image. Now that our exposure and our white balance is kind of figured out, you can see the colors are pretty dull and muted. I'm going to crank up the vibrance. Boom. I'm also just going to add a touch of saturation. You don't want to add too much saturation because you lose a lot of the details, a lot of them. So plus 10 is okay. Plus 50, you're starting to get a little bit stupid right there. So yeah, like just a little bit. Um, and then most people add contrast to their images. Me, I don't like it. I like it on details, but for the most part, I'll just crank down the blacks a little bit. And see this dark area here? You got to be careful because if you crank the blacks too much, man, my computer's slow. Anyway, you get the idea. If you crank down the blacks too much, you get these blobs of black in your shot, and you don't want that. So you got to really be careful. You can also bring out the shadows a touch, but you've got to be careful. I'm going to increase the clarity of the whole image just a bit, and then I'm done, really. The one thing I want to do is the purples here are nice. I love how they match up. I just want to bring them out a little bit more. My VPN's going crazy here in China. I'm sorry about my computer. I apologize. I apologize. Anyway, I'm going to bring out the saturation just of the purples a little bit and maybe mess with the hue a little bit. And boom, right there, we got a final image. And honestly, I worked on this image a lot compared to most of my images. Usually I just do a very, very quick edit. But I like this image. The light we got there tonight was terrible. It was brutal. This was the one image that I shot that the light was kind of in my advantage because I went like with a steely gray color with the purple, but the light was bad. It was just really, really bad, foggy and hazy. But sometimes you get the bad light. When you shoot portraits or you shoot people or whatever, you can control the light a little bit. When you shoot nature, when you shoot landscapes, you have no control. You're a slave to the light out there. And you do what you can. I'm happy-ish with this image. And if you get the time, head over to brendansadventures.com. There's lots of photography related stuff, lots of travel stuff over there. And yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. That's it for me on Brendan Benson Photography on this episode on getting the shot here in Yangshuo, China. I've had fun. I hope you have too. I'll see you next time. Peace.